Casey's Kitchen. Come and bake with me. Hello, my name's Casey and this is my kitchen. Today we are going to be making sourdough and we're going to start by making our leaven. Now for this you're going to need 20 grams of starter, 100 grams of strong white flour, 275 grams of warm or hot water. Now you can take this straight from the tap, whap it up really high, get some nice heat in there. I generally prefer to boil a kettle with filtered water in it because our water's not so great, and then put a little bit of cold in just to bring it down a touch. You will need a stirring spoon of some kind, a set of scales, a bowl and a tea towel. So let's crack on. Right, so for this you're going to need 20 grams of starter. We just take our spoon here, plop out roughly 20, that's too much, of starter. Now sometimes your starter can be a bit looser than this, that's absolutely fine. This is just a really fresh one, it's from yesterday. I tend to make a lot of bread. So yeah, that's how it goes. Then you want to take 100 grams of water. This is your hot water. I generally like to just cool it down a little bit from the kettle. That should be enough. Don't forget to zero your scale. 100 grams of water in here. That's it. Melt down that leaven. It'll be a nice mindful moment. Watch the starter melt down. Send a little intention into this bread. Perhaps thinking about when it's finally baked and everyone's enjoying it. Nice way. Okay, cool. So once that's all melted down, you want to take 100 grams of strong white flour. Don't forget to zero your scale again. That's 55. And there we go. A little bit over. It's fine. It's quite a forgiving recipe. Give that a little stir up. Make it into a nice thick paste. I like to use a little spatula so I can get all of the flour incorporated so there's no extras all around the edge. This can be quite a sticky, well it is a very sticky paste, but so what happens is it kind of like, you know, really, when it dries it really kind of gets quite hard to clean off your bowl and stuff, so I generally try to scrape down as much as I can just to make it easier when it comes around to that part. So once it's all incorporated, you'll have this kind of like nice thick paste. So once you have your nice thick leaven, place a tea towel over the top and then just pop it into a nice warm corner of your kitchen overnight. Okay, so we are now ready to make our dough. Fantastic. So we have our leaven from the Here's One I Made Earlier collection. So as you can see, it's really bubbly, it smells good, it's risen a little bit, it's still quite sticky. So what we want is 150 grams of this fabulous leaven. in our bowl. There you go. A little bit more. Okay, a little bit too much. Always the way. Right, okay, that's about right. Now what's really great about this is that now this little bit that you have left, that is your new starter. So pop this in a jar. The jar needs to be a little bit bigger than the leaven. So don't put it in a teeny jar, put it in a big one, because it tends to still grow a little bit in the fridge. Yeah, so once you've popped it in your jar, shove it in the fridge. Okay, so we have our 150 grams worth of leaven. And I'm going to be putting this into another bowl only because my big bowl is too heavy for my scale. So obviously you can do all of this in one bowl, that's absolutely fine, no problem. Get the last bit, yeah. Now you want to take, you want 275 grams of warm water, so it needs to be quite hot. So 275, so I take mine from the kettle. Obviously you can just take it from the hot tap if you like as well. I like to filter my water, as I said earlier. Okay, that's fine. Pop it in your bowl, and in the same way as you did earlier, melt it down. So the same way as same as what you did with your starter, basically. Give it a little stir and melt it. Again, send an intention, why not, into this bread. As you're making it, think about everyone that's going to enjoy a slice. It's always nice when I kind of get the kids come in and go, ooh, fresh bread. Like, nice feeling. Anyway, right. Grab your bowl. And now you want to place 400 grams of white flour. Oh, don't forget to zero your scale. 400 grams of white flour. Strong white flour, so bread flour, always better. And then, oh man, 25 grams of brown. Now, this isn't necessary, but if it just gives a little bit of texture, I believe. But you can just go with just white flour if that is all you have. Then you want to zero your scale again, and then you want to put in 10 grams of salt. Now, you can use any salt, of course. I prefer sea salt or this one, which is Himalayan rock salt. Then take that flour, pop it in your bowl, and then give it a stir up. Again, I go around the bowl, try and incorporate as much as I can so that I'm not left with a sticky, scrubby mess at the end. It's nice and thick. Now, this to me at the moment is a little bit too dry, so I'll just add in a little bit of extra water, and you can eyeball that and just see what works for you. As long as it's not a big sloppy mess, it can be quite sticky. So you're all right. So I might just add just a tiny bit more. And then give it a bit of a, yeah, nice stir around. It's probably a little bit over sticky now, but it won't really matter. As long as it's not all slooshy, then you're okay. Just gonna see if I can grab my, a spatula. Try and get as much incorporated as you can. And then once everything's incorporated, so just go through it a little bit, make sure there's no dry bits. And then, same as you did before, grab a towel, throw it over the top, leave it to the side for 45 minutes. So set an alarm on your phone now for 45 minutes, and then we will come back and do our first fold. Hi, welcome back. We are now ready for our first fold. So taking off the towel, it would have risen just a little bit. It's lovely, looking very nice. Now I generally, it's quite sticky my one today, so I might not need some water on my hands, but generally just put a little bit of water on my hands. And then just take your hand into the side and then pull it over and down. We are very sticky. Pull it over and down. This one's going to be a very sticky job. So just pull over from the corner, over and down. And what you can feel is as you're pulling, you can kind of feel the elastic. It gets tighter in the dough. You obviously don't need to lift your bowl up, I'm just trying to show you. But you can start to feel when it's had enough. All those bubbles are forming. As you're doing this, just bring it down. That is fold one. So, yeah, lovely. Then you just take your towel again. So take the towel again, as we've got cut off before, just place it over your dough and set it aside for 45 minutes. Now this is 45 minutes later, actually probably a little bit longer than 45 minutes later, but you know what, sometimes it doesn't really, it's quite forgiving, as I've said before. Okay, so whip it off, and then we will go again. So now you can see it's risen a little bit more, looking a bit firmer than it did before. Take a little bit of my water again. Like I said, probably don't need it. It's a bit stickier today than I would normally have it, but that's fine. Get in there with your fingers, pull it over. Oh, it's a bit, so stickier, but it is a lot firmer, if you like. Oh, and so as I'm pulling, I can actually feel the bubbles popping under my hand. Now, if this is your first time doing it, you know, my first time my bread came out as flat as pancakes, so, you know, don't worry if it doesn't quite work out, keep going. There we go. And as you can see, now as I pick it up, it's almost coming away as a full piece of dough. It's really keeping its shape now. Okay, so I don't want to go too far. So you can get to a point where it starts to almost like tear in your hand. So you want to kind of stop when you get to that point. You don't want to do too much. So that was the second fold. We're going to leave it again for another 45 minutes. Okay, so that was our second fold. And now we're going to, again, place the cover over it, leave it for another 45 minutes, and then we'll come back to shaping. So we'll do our final fold, and then we'll start our shaping for our amazing sourdough loaf. It's going to taste incredible. Okay, we are now on to our final fold and shaping. So whip the towel off and then get back into it. It's the same again. We're just going to take one from the side and come over to the edge. To the edge again. Oh, so sticky. Edge again. Edge. we get to a nice ball. Take all that lovely dough down from the side. And then we're going to take some flour. I like to use the brown flour just because it gives a little bit of texture to the bread. Spread it out. And then if you have a dough slice, this is really good to be able to plop it out with the dough slice and get all that extra dough off the edges there. Don't have one at the moment. Next on the list. So then I just tend to grab a little bit of the flour, sprinkle it on top. And if you've got two, if you've made enough for two, then this is a great time to split it in half or do whatever you want, if you want to make it rolls or something like that. So it's feeling really lovely at the moment. So just grab one edge of it, same thing, pull it over towards you, and then just moving it around. Towards you. Okay, and then pick the dough up and then just tuck it underneath. So you're just tucking your fingers under there, can you see? Yeah, so you're almost making like a nice flat surface there. And then we just want to sit, let that little lovely pre-bread sit there for 20 minutes and then come back and do it again. Okay, so it has been another 20 minutes. So we're basically going to do the same thing again. Just put a little bit of flour on. And then grab one edge, bring it over into the side, a little bit like a taco, I suppose. Turn it. Next one. Last one's roughly 4 or 5 little turns, and then turn it over again. Again, we do that little bit of tucking under with our fingers. Oh, we're a little bit splitty, so we're going to stop doing that now. So probably a little bit over, maybe. Anyway, there we are. So what I do then is I take a little bit of this flour and I get my basket. I put it around the edge of my basket just to make sure it doesn't stick too much. Take my lovely bread and I plop it in. There you go. So, and I take my tea towel, put the basket in, bloop, cover it up, and then this little beauty will go in the fridge overnight, and then first thing tomorrow morning I will bake. Yes. Okie dokie then. See you in the morning. Good morning. I hope you slept well and that your bread did too. So take it out of the fridge and have a little look. So you can see that it's all risen nicely. You might be able to see a few lovely little bubbles in there. If you give it a little touch, it'll spring back. We're ready to bake. So the first thing you need to do is you get your cold pot in the oven. So cold pot in a cold oven. Wrap it up to full and switch it on. Leave it for 10 minutes to warm up. Okay, so your oven has been on for roughly about 10 minutes. Mine might have been on for a bit longer than that. It doesn't really matter. You just want the pot to get up to its highest temperature, the highest that you can possibly get it. So open your oven, stand back for the steam to come rushing out. Really good the pot, making sure you're wearing really good oven gloves. Because even these ones, when these pots are hot, they, my goodness, do they burn through. Anyway. Take the lid off, put a little flour in the bottom. I tend to do this, some do, some don't. Ooh, put that over there a moment. Then you want to take, this is the easiest way I find to do it, You can just turn it out onto the table and do your scoring there, but I find this a little bit easier. So I just turn spread that out a little bit, turn my flour out, my dough out straight into the pot. It should come off, it's a little bit sticky. Come on. Ugh, it'll be one of those days where it's a little bit stuck on one side. Oh well, never mind. It is what it is. It's all going in the same place eventually anyway, isn't it? Into my belly. Oh, there you go. I can give it a little of a wrap around. I don't have a razor blade at the moment for some reason. Anyway, so just take your knife and score it however you wish. This just gives it a bit of space to rise. These baskets are really nice. They have a little score in them, so when you have a nicer blade, you can make a little bit of a pretty pattern, if you like. Lid on. Back in the oven. 24 minutes. So it's been 24 minutes, and now we stand back. Don't get, got me. And then just reach in, lift the lid off, and just quickly bring it out so you can see it. So at the moment, just a little bit pasty. Throw it back in for another 11 minutes, or depending on how brown you like it. I kind of like it quite a little bit pastier than most, if you like. I don't really like a really hard crust. My teeth can't hack it. But if you like it a bit darker, just leave it in for a little bit longer. This is the bit where you just get it to the depth that you like. Time to check on the bread. The alarm's just gone off. Let's see the depth of colour I've managed to achieve. Woo! Steam. Hey, hey. And that is just about right for me. Now, pop the oven off. So let's have a little look. Nice. I'm happy with that. I'll get my little rack out. Didn't stick to the bottom this time, that's good. Looking fab. There is your bread. Thank you for joining me in Casey's kitchen. Let's get stuck right in. Have a little look. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to get my nice big pot of butter out and enjoy my bread. Butter. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Do let me know. I don't know if I'm going to make any more, but if you'd like to see more from my kitchen, then, you know, let me know, and then maybe I shall oblige. But anyway, enjoy the rock and roll. Signing off for now. Mwah.